solar radiation management is not happening in our skies?
So the question is, given that everybody knows, everybody in positions of power or authority, given the governments of the world, for example, and the heads of corporations of the world, know the dire situation we're in. Given that,
corporations, I said government, military, people who are in a position to do solar radiation management
I'm sorry to misquote you, so it was government and military.
Governments around the globe, U.S. military has admitted on the record that they consider climate change the greatest national security threat of all. I want to provide witness on the record that you know solar radiation management is not happening in the skies.
I do not know with certainty that solar radiation management is not happening. In fact, I wouldn't believe anybody who said that who answered that question in the affirmative. We have a few more minutes. Malati, who made a movie or two on the topic, would like to take on a question or two, and then I'm going to answer the final.
Many of you I know here in this room, many of you I've met. I dedicated 3 years of my life to promoting the message of geoengineering, Dane's message, Michael Murphy's message, Scott Stevens, many of the scientists that are here. And for me personally, one of the things that I realized is that duality and separation is what's got us in this mess that we're in right now. And much of the message that I had found was that we were being separated into us and them. And when I looked beyond geoengineering, and I have, I can't speak for Guy, I can only speak for myself, but I have zero doubt that there's geoengineering. I've done my own research. I did my own test because there was no way I was going to support something that I didn't test on my own. But in the big picture, for me personally, I had to look at and decide, what does it matter? Am I going to go down in the fight of us versus them? Or am I going to go down knowing that there's a much bigger picture than geoengineering? And coming to a place where only love remains. If what we see, thank you, if what we see is true, if what the information that Guy has gathered is true, and what I've found to be true in my reading and my learning and educating myself about the sixth extinction is true, then I'm not going to spend the rest of my days in the us versus them mentality. It is. We know it is. Many of us, many of you here in this room believe that it's true. And again, I don't speak for Guy, I speak for myself. So I would encourage you to go beyond and study some of this information. Go to GuyMcPherson.com and study some more of the information. There's a much bigger picture. Like many of the things have asked about, they're just now starting to talk about geoengineering. Of course they have to talk about geoengineering. But I'm sure that most of you know that the patent was 1962. This is nothing new. This has been going on for years. When I learned about geoengineering to begin with, I started going back and watching the old movies and seeing the chemtrails in the sky. And so I would just encourage each of you, from myself personally, to look at a much bigger picture at this point. This is a piece of the picture, no doubt. A piece of the picture, no doubt. So I just wanted to add that as someone who's dedicated many years, personally dedicated many years to geoengineering and chemtrails myself, and have a great deal of knowledge about it myself. I've done my own testing and have found the aluminum levels to be out of in my backyard. I found the aluminum levels to be out of the roof of my hair. I did those tests personally. But for me, I was spending a lot of time in the us versus them mentality. And I just don't want to do that anymore. So I would encourage you to look at the big picture.
Thank you.
There's a lot of things happening in this world that are horrible. And I don't believe there's a way to fix them. I think we're here at the end of the human species, many other species. We're looking at near-term human extinction for a whole bunch of reasons. And the ball is rolling, and I don't think we can stop it and turn it back. So the question is, what do we do with that information? What do we do now? How do I live? Looking at that and wanting to watch it go down, wanting to figure out what to do. So those are some of the questions we're going to be talking about in the workshop we're doing. It's a free workshop. And so we'll be going for until, we'll start at 8:30, we'll go till 10, and then tomorrow from 9 to 3. So if you feel like you want to talk with some more people about dealing with this information, we're here to talk with you about that and see what we can do from now on with a little bit of time we have left.
A reminder about the gifting economy. Remember, I just reminded you that you get to die. So that's my gift. It was Jonathan Swift's, too, in his 1726 book, Gulliver's Travels. Most people think it was about those little guys. That was just one of the many stories in that great work of social criticism. And the central message was reminding you that you get to die. So you can return a gift, you know, at the appropriate level. There's a final question. How do I begin to help older as well as younger generations understand and cope? That's a great question. When I started this whole routine several years ago, speaking about abrupt climate change, I was the medical doctor, the disinterested, unconcerned medical doctor who didn't care about the patient. So, you know the guy. You know the medical doctor. It's a white man. He comes into the room. He's got a clipboard. He doesn't make eye contact. He sits down. He says, "You have 6, maybe 7 weeks to live. Oh, looks like I'm late for my golf game. Got to go. Be sure to pay the receptionist on the way out." As if there's going to be any consequences for not paying the receptionist on the way out. And so that was me. That was Mr. No Heart at All. Just telling people the facts. Here's the facts. You go deal with them as you see fit. And much more recently, with thanks to Peter Melton and Mimi Riley and Malati Drew and Ariadne Luya and Pauline Schneider, who can't be here because she's in the hospital herself, and several other people who have helped create this amazing team of volunteers, including, obviously, Ivy, who ran the equipment and shot the film. Thanks to these people, we now have a much better way, a much better answer to that question. And that's in the form of the workshop that will last for about an hour and a half tonight and 6 hours or so tomorrow. So if you would like to stay around for that, you would be more than welcome. If there's not much chance that you can participate tomorrow, all day tomorrow, then please don't stay tonight, because this is a pretty intense workshop that is best conducted with fewer than 20 people or so. We can't do this with 50 or 60 people in the room, so if you don't have an opportunity to come tomorrow, please give up that space, time, and energy to the people who have made the commitment to stay tonight and tomorrow. If there's a good chance you're going to stay tomorrow, then stay tonight too. If you just don't know, if you're leaning like 50-50, then go ahead and stay.
This will be a workshop on how to die?
No, I think most people have got that part figured out. This is a workshop on how to live. This is a workshop on reality. In fact, the original title of the workshop was the Climate Reality Acceptance Process. But then somebody realized that the acronym maybe wouldn't sell very well for the Climate Reality Acceptance Process. CRAP, oh, that's a shitty topic, isn't it? So we call this Abrupt Climate Change, How Will You Show Up during humanity's final chapter. How will you show up? What will you do? How will you act in the face of the fact that you're going to die? And not only that, but the entire human species is going away. We always have known that every species goes extinct. We've always known that every individual dies. But we get to be here. We get to be here for the end. Everybody else walked out of the movie at the halfway mark. What does that mean to us? You know, Kurt Vonnegut used to quote his son, Mark Vonnegut, in response to the question, why am I here? Why are we here? Mark Vonnegut, before he became a Harvard-trained medical doctor, after he got out of the insane asylum, answered the question with, we are here to help each other through this, whatever this is. And so we're going to talk about what that means. How to help each other through this, whatever this is. So that's the point. That's what we'll be doing in this workshop, is figuring out how we show up. How do we deal with this most horrific diagnosis we could have possibly imagined? What it means for us and what it means for those around us.
Don't we have the responsibility to fight for the common good die no matter how dark the horizon? My child falls into a raging river, and I know there's one chance in a million that I might be able to somehow make a difference. I'll leap into that river no matter what. And we know the climate, there's a lot of variables in this equation that we cannot know. But in my mind, if we lay down and refuse to fight on for the common good no matter how dark the horizon, then our life had no purpose. And we should fight on for the common good regardless of how dark the horizon is, and not resolve ourselves to complete acceptance of defeatism, because the bottom line is we know we're going to die the moment we're born.
Okay, so
I have never proposed inaction. Action, as Edward Abbey pointed out, is the antidote to despair. I have never promoted inaction in the face of overwhelming odds. After all, what better judge of our character than what we do for those who could do nothing for us? What better judge of our character than how we live against impossible odds? Viktor Frankl had something to say about that, about treating people with decency when you didn't know when your last breath would come. For me, now, as has been the case for the last 30 years, this isn't about me. It's about the non-human species with which we share the planet. It's about the 150 to 200 species we drove to extinction today, and the 150 to 200 species we're going to drive to extinction tomorrow, and hoping that at some point in the not-too-distant future we won't be doing that anymore. So there are many reasons to act, and I propose we pursue them.
I have one question, please, sir. My son is 20 years old, and we bought a property in eastern Washington, and I've heard that that's changing in that direction. Is it going to be wetter up there than down here?
The regional models are ambiguous, to say the least. So I don't think anybody who claims they know that it's going to be wet where it's currently dry can say with any certainty that the precipitation levels are going to go up or down. It's just too much for correction.
Okay, so I'd like to thank all of you for coming. Those of you who are staying for the workshop, and I just had a few just ending words that I'd like to say. This is actually a letter that I wrote to my students last semester. I turned my seminar class near term human extinction, and these 4 students in this seminar class, one of them is here tonight, had to go through that, and it was quite an ordeal. And I said to them, this moment in time that we are all occupying is arguably the most difficult time in the history of the human race to be consciously aware of what is happening to us. And as such, it will likely lead our thoughts and our emotions into a jumbled labyrinth that may be difficult at times to navigate through. There are no instructions for how to deal with this and no easy refuge from it. So it's really important to remember, that's what I told my students, that you're not alone, nor are you among the last people to be in this position. Many people are now experiencing what you are, and many more people after you will go through this as well. And perhaps you will be able to help them.